Hi, welcome to the Semantics lecturette introducing the semantics of time. Time is a very important property of natural language, and it's encoded in a large number of ways. Some of these will be detailed in the reading, and we'll discuss some of them here. Now, in this course, we're not going to cover all of them, part because some of them are just purely lexical, but we'll cover the main ones that have some kind of systematicity to them and how they interact with the grammar. So some of them involve grammatical categories. The most famous one is tense, right? We all know what tense is, right? Well, we kind of do, right? So if we look at these sentences, Tom worked at KU, Tom works at KU, and Tom will work at KU, we get the sense that these are about different elements of time. This is about the past, this is about now, and this is about a future yet to come. And we call that distinction tense. And we say that tense is a grammatical category because it shows up as inflection on the verb in these cases and then on the auxiliary here. Well, when we look at tense in more detail, we get a better picture of exactly what's going on here, what these relationships are, and how they're encoded. But compare that to these sentences. We say Tom worked at KU versus Tom was working at KU. Those are both about the past, but they're not exactly the same. We'd say that the difference between them is one of what's called aspect. Aspect is a relationship between the event's temporal properties and then the broader temporal properties of the time you're talking about. But we can think of viewpoint, of aspect in terms of a viewpoint sometimes. And this is often called viewpoint aspect as a result. That is to say, when we say Tom was working at KU, we get a sense of a snapshot. We're talking about some moment in time or some element of time. Whereas Tom worked at KU might be something a bit broader, and we're discussing his entire tenure at KU. And that's a very simple notion, and with a verb like worked, it's actually a little more complicated than that. Actually, it's a lot more complicated than that, but we'll get to it. Don't worry about it. But we have this notion of tense that gets us to the past, and we have this notion of aspect that distinguishes between this simple form, worked, and then this periphrastic form, was working. And so we get was working, is working, will be working, and we get the tense distinction as well. And that six-way grid is pretty convenient in that respect. A third type of temporal encoding is called Actionsart. And that's a German term meaning action type. And we use the German term because the English term was lexical aspect, and that got confused with the other kind of aspect. And besides, the study of these originated with Germans, and that's what they called it. Why not? Let's call it that, Actionsart. And so the notion of Actionsart involves the lexical distinctions in situation type, or event type. So if we say Tom worked at KU, that's fine. If we change that to Tom knew someone at KU, that's also fine. But if we change Tom was working at KU to Tom was knowing someone at KU, then that's really weird. And the reason it's weird is because the kind of events that knowing events are just doesn't fit with this aspect. And a lot of verbs behave that way. And so there's a systematic way that these verbs differ, and that ties into what Actionsart is all about. And so we also see temporal encoding in adverbials. Right? So adverbials like tomorrow, yesterday, all the time, in 10 minutes, 4 or 5 hours, and so forth. A lot of adverbials express temporal relations. And then sometimes you can get temporal relations out of particles. And particles are, they fit in different kinds of categories. Some of them are tense particles, some are aspect particles, some seem to be Actionsart particles and so forth. And they're particles. We don't know what they are. But We don't know exactly what category they fit in, but they provide semantic information. And then Klein discusses ways in the reading about deriving certain temporal relations out of the discourse itself, and the way that narrative progression works and so forth. So there are a lot of different ways that time can be encoded in natural language, and we're going to focus on tense, aspect, and Axionsart, which have been the focus of most of the study, and which have provided perhaps the most fruitful results so far.